We didn't paint a picture of the entire league. What we said was there was noise out there emanating from some, and those folks were very, very loud and conspicuous with their dissent towards things involving Caitlin Clark. When we pointed that out, we said why? What was the necessity for it? Because a rising tide lifts all boats. This woman is box office, plus she can play. And the combination of the two would ultimately give all of those wonderful ladies for the wonderful work that they had done over so many years, it would have been validated.
With the WNBA season ending for many teams, there are already so many players heading overseas to play during the off-season. But with all of the drama currently surrounding the WNBA, on top of the low-paying salaries, some of these players are questioning if they'll even return.
Oh, she don't do this, she not gonna do that. Let her cook. Y'all stop being petty. Stop being catty, cause she like a double-edged sword. She couldn't tell left and right. And it's bothering y'all, and I see it. Let's go, Caitlin.
The European League has confirmed Caitlin Clark's entrance, which is causing the sports world to stir right now. Yes, you heard it correctly. The emerging star of American basketball is officially bringing her abilities to the European stage. And this decision has sent shockwaves, not just throughout the continent, but also back home in the United States, particularly in the WNBA.
Caitlin Clark, it seems like this entire season, she was the solution for so many things, but so many players, coaches, media, people, so many people were also painting her out to be the problem. She could never do enough. She could never speak out enough. Her fans were the issue. Fever fans were the issue. Like, you know, there was all of this just nonsense about things that Caitlin was doing wrong when, in my personal opinion, she was doing nothing but going out there and playing great basketball every night.
Fans, experts, and even teammates are ecstatic with this choice. The WNBA, which has long regarded Clark as one of its most promising future players, is now confronted with the reality that Europe has snatched her away, at least for now. How does this affect the future of women's basketball? What prompted this decision? And why is the WNBA responding so strongly?
Top 4 scorers at the college level here in this one as Caitlin Clark, and now back-to-back buckets.
Let's go into the juicy details of Caitlin Clark's European journey, the WNBA's response, and how this development is transforming the worldwide landscape of women's basketball. Caitlin Clark's departure to Europe began as murmurs among sports experts, but it rapidly became a scream when the European League confirmed Clark had signed a contract. For many, this shift marks a watershed event in both her career and the worldwide acknowledgement of women's basketball skills.
Foul knows it's important not to pick up the second because she got 2 in the first quarter against Connecticut.
Clark, generally considered one of the finest players in college basketball history, was expected to make an easy transition to the WNBA. After all, she had dominated the NCAA with her unrivaled shooting ability, court vision, and competitive spirit. Her choice to move abroad instead has left fans with mixed feelings, especially those who were looking forward to watching her light up the WNBA courts. But don't get it confused. This isn't simply about Clark departing the United States. It is about what her arrival in Europe represents. Europe's basketball leagues, notably in Spain, Italy, and Turkey, have long been magnets for top-tier talent. But to get a player of Clark's caliber so early in her career is a huge statement. Her presence there improves the European League's prestige and creates additional opportunities for players seeking alternatives to the WNBA. One question that instantly arises is, why did Caitlin Clark pick Europe? It's a legitimate question, particularly since many people thought she'd be the next great thing in the WNBA. According to sources, the European League's offer was both financially advantageous and strategically intriguing to Clark's long-term career objectives.
But another level of noise was coming from people, you were one of them, who also tried to create a picture around Caitlin that the league was against her based on the actions of less than 5 former players or current players.
And even our biggest star in the league, Caitlin Clark, is only making a base salary of around $76,000 or $78,000 for this first season. She signed a 4-year, just over $300,000 rookie salary, and that's all that she's going to make in the WNBA. Now, I feel like there could be a team overseas who would love to snatch Caitlin Clark away from us and give her a crazy offer. I mean, Ice Cube was about to give her $5 million to play in less than 10 games in the Big Three.
European leagues have grown in popularity among top-tier players due to their flexibility, fierce competitiveness, and worldwide exposure. Clark's deal allegedly includes sponsorship, worldwide media exposure, and collaborations that potentially outperform anything the WNBA can provide at this point. Clark has the potential in Europe to not only play basketball, but also to create an international brand, something the European League was interested in when they pursued her. Furthermore, Europe's effort to nurture women's basketball potential has been quite advanced. Teams in Spain, France, and Turkey spend extensively in their women's programs, providing cutting-edge facilities, elite coaching, and fierce competition. For Clark, who enjoys competitive surroundings, Europe provided a chance to polish her abilities before perhaps joining the WNBA in the future.
If you want to go from a marketing perspective, sure, Caitlin is extremely marketable. However, I just want to pitch this to everyone. Imagine Caitlin joining this team and spending time on the bench. What is the conversation going to be about the entire time the Olympics is going on?
While European basketball fans applaud Clark's choice, the WNBA and its audience have been significantly less enthused. The WNBA has been anxiously awaiting Caitlin Clark's arrival, envisioning her as the next great superstar who can raise the league's reputation and increase viewership. Her style of play, which features buzzer-beating three-pointers and show-stopping displays, is precisely what the WNBA needs to catch the attention of a larger audience.
If she would not have joined the WNBA, these numbers would not be the way that they are with or without her, right? If she was not in the WNBA, these games would be, I hate to say it, but somewhat irrelevant, right? Just like they were last season. And people were not tuning in nearly to the same extent they are this season. So it's not about Caitlin Clark not being in the finals or being in the finals. It's the fact that Caitlin Clark is in the league that is allowing other teams to still have these pretty decent ratings in the finals, even though Caitlin Clark is not there. That is the point.
Many in the league are perplexed by her decision to play in Europe rather than the WNBA. There are even rumors that some clubs were already prepared for Clark's arrival, plotting deals and rearranging rosters to accommodate her. This unexpected shift to Europe has thrown their preparations into turmoil. The response of WNBA players has been varied. Some have backed Clark's choice, recognizing that Europe provides some financial rewards and a distinct playing experience. Others, however, have expressed disappointment, anticipating that Clark would have decided to participate at home and contribute to the popularity of women's basketball in the United States.
And then a few possessions later, Fever down 2, Clark. Big time shot. Tough. Doesn't get better than that, Cat. Becomes the first rookie with 25 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists in a playoff game.
While some may see Clark's decision to leave the WNBA as a rejection of the league, there are numerous convincing reasons why Europe is a good match for her right now. Playing in Europe helped Clark broaden her brand outside the United States. She is already a big figure in American basketball, but playing in Europe will allow her to reach a global audience. This will not only boost her marketability, but also enable her to compete against a diverse pool of talent.
The best three-point shooters in the league. And under 20 seconds left, last chance for the Fever. Clark can't get it to go.
While specific statistics have not been revealed, insiders believe Clark's European deal is one of the most expensive in women's basketball history. European clubs are notorious for providing significant financial incentives to elite players.
In 2015, Diana Taurasi played in Russia and did not play in the WNBA. And it was never outright stated that she didn't play in the WNBA because Russia basically put that in their contract. Because Russia paid Diana Taurasi at that time $1.5 million salary to play in Russia. Now, at the time in the WNBA, the salary, like the highest salary in the league, was $107,000. So obviously that's a huge jump.
Such as performance bonuses and off-court sponsorship possibilities, which may outweigh what the WNBA might initially give her. European basketball is very competitive, and many American players credit their time there for honing their talents.
The Europeans have definitely, staked the claim to the NBA. It is a new era. There's no doubt about it. When you see some of the great players emanating from Europe, the fact that they play the right way, you got a lot of guys in the States, they're about dunking. Obviously, Steph Curry comes along, so they're about the three-point shot. The coaches certainly haven't helped because you even see people complaining about AAU and that competition that exists there now more so than ever. Are the guys really being taught how to play the game of basketball? In Europe, you don't hear that very often. They're playing at a very young age. They're taught the fundamentals of the game. They know how to play, not just in terms of being spectacular individual players, but knowing how to play within the team concept a bit more than people want to give them credit for. And that's why you see, whether it's their footwork, their hands, their basketball IQ, et cetera, whether it's Jokic, it's obviously Luka. You see Wembanyama coming over from France, even though he's 7'5", just the way that he plays and the talent that he has. There's a finesse to the game. There's an artistry to the game that we've underestimated for far too long. They seem to have taken hold with those guys, and they're showing up in the NBA, and they're playing lights out.
Clark, an already outstanding player, will have the opportunity to further her game in an atmosphere that values both individual and team success.
I feel like I had a solid year, but for me, the fun part is, like, I feel like I'm just scratching the surface, and I'm one that's nitpicking every single thing I do, and I know I want to, help this franchise get even better, help my teammates get even better.
The WNBA has stringent contracts and timetables, while European leagues might provide greater freedom. This might enable Clark to pursue other opportunities, both on and off the court, while maintaining a high level of performance. Caitlin Clark's relocation to Europe will definitely impact the WNBA. For starters, it demonstrates that Europe is not only a backup choice for great talent, but also a viable one, even for American players. This might change the dynamic between the two leagues, forcing the WNBA to reevaluate how it tackles player contracts, marketing, and overall league structure. The WNBA has been slowly rising, but losing Clark even temporarily is a significant blow. Clark's ability to attract fans and improve viewing may have been critical to the league's success, especially as it seeks to extend its worldwide reach. Now, the WNBA is wondering whether additional elite players would follow Clark's path, particularly if Europe continues to offer such appealing salaries.
W thinks that they don't have to pay us more in order for us to be here. And I think I didn't express that when I first talked about prioritization. Our commissioner talked about us being able to, make 700,000. That's not true at all. There's not one player who makes that. And we were promised, team marketing agreements and league marketing agreements, but they've fallen quite short. So it's still not enough for us international players to want to stay here. And that's a choice of the players. If I make a choice to make more money, whatever, and then the teams are mad that I don't come back, but that's how it is. So yes, it just the WNBA, if you want us to be here, you have to pay us more. It's business, it's how it works, and that's all that means.
In reaction to this trend, the WNBA is allegedly taking steps to prevent future stars from moving abroad. Rumors suggest that the league is looking at methods to offer more competitive pay and increase contract flexibility.
And it's weird, and I have asked questions over and over. How did this Caitlin Clark thing happen? I don't know. But everybody is reaping the benefits. Ratings for this show through the roof when we talk about guess who? Caitlin Clark. But they got to accept a couple of things, and I'm going to go through them. One, she's made everybody a lot of money. The great Lynn Dunn, the general manager, president of the Indiana Fever, said it on my Indianapolis show. A rising tide lifts all boats. And that's exactly what Caitlin Clark has done,
making remaining in the United States a more tempting option for players like Clark. However, these improvements may take time, and in the meantime, Europe stands to gain from an inflow of American talent. It's also worth mentioning that the WNBA's media presence has been a source of contention. While the league has made gains in marketing women's basketball, it still falls behind Europe in terms of worldwide media coverage. Clark's choice to go to Europe might serve as a wake-up call for the WNBA to increase its worldwide marketing efforts.
But guess what? Goodness and talent and ability and style and competitiveness and straight being a stud won out. What am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about Caitlin Clark. And I'm talking about money. That's right, dinero and money talks. And as we know, BS walks. So the BS of the old crazy lesbian guard, the angry lesbians, well, they're happy today. Why? Let me tell you why they're happy. The WNBA is set to quadruple its revenue with a new $2.2 billion deal. They went from 1% of the NBA's TV deal to 3%. Oh, they're still piggybacking. Of course they are. And if Caitlin Clark gets hurt, it probably all goes away. Will the jealous, crazy lesbian old guard of the WNBA finally give Caitlin Clark the respect she deserves? They got to. They must. They have to. What are you talking about?
As players like Clark have the potential to become international legends, will she return to the WNBA? One of the most pressing issues for everyone is whether Caitlin Clark will finally make her way to the WNBA. While she is now dedicated to Europe, many feel it is only a matter of time before she comes to the United States and establishes herself in the WNBA. After all, numerous athletes have utilized Europe as a stepping stone to their WNBA debut.
Those people also that has an alter ego on the court. She's a bully, she plays hard, she plays well, but off the court, she is like so soft-spoken. So if she's choosing to speak, there is a reason. Let's talk about this Connecticut Sun series, right? In this series, we saw Caitlin Clark get poked in the eye. And Caitlin said in media after that, that was accidental, that was unintentional, but we saw reporters gaslighting that situation, trying to make more of it.
For the time being, Clark seems completely engaged on her European vacation. She has expressed enthusiasm about the possibility of competing on a worldwide scale and suggested that this move is just one component of her larger career strategy. Whether or not she returns to the WNBA, one thing is certain: Caitlin Clark's story is far from done, and the world will be waiting to see what she does next. Caitlin Clark's choice to play in Europe rather than the WNBA is a watershed event in women's basketball history. It emphasizes how the sport is growing more global, with talent, opportunities, and fans across continents. This action also demonstrates the rising role of European leagues in defining the sport's future. Europe has long been a men's basketball superpower, and it's evident that its women's leagues are as ambitious, with the resources and ambition to lure great players like Clark. This might pave the way for increased cross-continental competition, with players moving more freely between leagues, transforming women's basketball into a truly global sport.
When you watch Caitlin Clark play, and I had the opportunity to do so on Friday, you see someone different. You see someone whose head is totally up, has control of the basketball, who plays like a dude point guard. Period. And frankly, it's surprising that she scores so much given how she's always looking to give the ball up. 19 assists for a new WNBA record. 19 assists. Now, honest to God, that's pretty good. Now, that's really good.
Caitlin Clark's transfer to the European League has already caused a stir in the sporting world, and this is just the beginning. Her choice is altering the narrative of women's basketball by demonstrating that great talent can flourish on both sides of the Atlantic. Meanwhile, the WNBA must adjust to this new reality, in which Europe is no longer an afterthought but a legitimate rival for the world's finest players. As the basketball world watches Caitlin Clark's next chapter career, one thing is certain: this move ushers in a new era in women's basketball, with the distinctions between local and international competition becoming more blurred. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe to keep up with everything, including Caitlin Clark and women's basketball. And if you haven't already, check out our earlier video on ESPN dropping a bombshell on Caitlin Clark's new contract in Europe for even more details on this amazing tale.